Hey there, my name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is content in, character out. We become, the content of our character literally becomes and comes into being as a result of what content we're taking in. And this is true on many different levels. One level we can immediately see is that our body, our cells, our body is built by what we feed it and what we give it. And if we give it foods that aren't rich in the nutrition that your cells need, like vitamins, minerals, all of this stuff, we may find that the content of our form ultimately becomes diseased or has diabetes or has a response later in life as a result of constantly giving our form a content that doesn't serve. And this may lead to a character that is playing the role of not well or sick. The space that I really would like to talk about this today, and the area I wanted to focus in, is the content we receive through our attention. You know, if you receive the content of crack cocaine, you'll find you become the character of being a crack addict. That's how you wind up being a crack addict. I recommend you don't smoke crack cocaine. You know, if you don't want to be a crack addict, that's a great way to not become one. I had a dear friend, Dr. Keith. He's no longer in his flesh costume, but he would say, "Heather, you know the best way to quit smoking?" And I would say, "How's that, Dr. Keith?" Because I used to smoke when I would drink. And I would say, "How's that, Dr. Keith?" And he'd say, "Don't buy cigarettes." Ah, God, I love the wise ones. So simple. Like this simple math adds up. If you don't have cigarettes, you're not smoking them. But so, it's true though. If you don't want your character to be a smoker, then don't smoke cigarettes. And so you might, if you don't want to be a smoker and you might want to get hypnosis. You might want to experiment with putting the attention somewhere else, grabbing a carrot stick every time you want to smoke, or, smoking near dose, like an herbal cigarette or something like that, making a transition in your life. There's a place where this really, there's a place in this piece that I'm talking about today that I think about a lot. And I've known many artists that are really talented artists. Now, I am myself an artist and I love to paint. I love it. I love to make jewelry. I love to knit. I love to paint. I love to craft. I love dioramas. I love all forms of art. Heather loves to art so much, and I do it very little. And so if I want my character to be the thing called artist, then I need to give myself the content, not just the supplies and the physical form related, but often when I love going to galleries, I love museums, but when I go to an art gallery, I get really inspired, and it activates my inner artist. And that content of receiving other artists inspires me to create, to become the character called artist. If we want the character of calm and centered and peaceful, we may choose a content form like yoga. Out of the 8 pillars of yoga, 7 of them are actually devoted to going within: breath, meditation. Those are all, my breath is my breath. It's not, granted, I'm breathing the air that's out there, but so 7 out of 8 of the pillars are about going within. And if I practice yoga in a comprehensive way, in the way that it was meant to be received and practiced, then I might find that my character is one that is able to go within and be calm and be centered in stressful situations, in addition to having flexibility and all of this. One of the big places that I find this to be really important to consider in the modern age is that there's a lot of content that we are receiving through social media, through Netflix or Hulu, if you do those things, through whatever that is, There's a lot of content we are receiving. I once read a study that had been done, and the amount of information that two-leggeds process exponentially increases as we move forward in time. From Sumerian times to 1950, the amount of data that we processed the amount of data that humans processed from Sumerian times to 1950 doubled from 1950 to 1970, doubled again from 1970 to 1980, doubled again from 1980 to 1986. And it's just continued to do that, double, double, double. I mean, think about it. Today we are processing not just billboards when we drive, but emails, text messages, Snapchat, whatever it is, whatever all the social media platforms that you have. So now you've got to make sure, oh, have I responded to the email? Oh, have I responded to the Instagram message? What about the Facebook message? What about the text message that I got? Where did this person even contact me? We just have worlds within worlds of communication, and it can lend one to be like, whoa, that's a lot of content I'm taking in. And it can cause your character to be in a state of overwhelm, and fair enough. So there's this piece for me around always considering the content Heather Feather receives. I have been spiritually focused forever, for as long as I can remember. My mom took us to New Thought, or metaphysical, meta meaning beyond, physical meaning the physical realm, metaphysical churches like First Church of Religious Science, which is now called the Center for Spiritual Living. It is not Scientology. But she took us there, and she took us to speed reading classes and things like that. So when I was a kid, I was in these spiritual communities where we would meditate. I remember I was doing that at like 5, I'm 47. So I was doing that over 4 decades ago. But I remember, too, being in a youth group, and some young girl lost her retainer, so we all circled up and meditated. And as soon as we came out of the meditation, she was like, oh, it's stuck on my sweater. I was like, wow, meditation is magical. So the content of my character is deeply spiritual. And the reason the content of my character is deeply spiritual is because I have filled myself to the brim with spiritual information. If you come to my house, you're going to find several bookshelves, and every single book that you find in there is going to be spiritually focused. And it's going to be spiritually focused in a wide variety of philosophies, right? I have gone to Sufi meditation. I have considered the 99 names of Allah. I have gone to Muslim prayer, and I've worn a hijab. I have, when I was a teenager, I wanted to become a Hare Krishna. I was talking earlier in my videos about studying Prabhupada quite a bit. When I studied at the School of Metaphysics, we studied Yogananda a considerable amount, and I was doing life force exercises, and I learned how to unlock Kundalini to help people heal. So all of this to say, I've done the tarot for over 3 decades. I've studied shamanism for technically since I was born, you're on that path, but I've studied it immersively from an Eagle medicine man and shaman in Washington for many years. And I've written a chapter in his upcoming book, and I've studied with other shamans. So I'm constantly receiving spiritual information into this vessel, and my character lives by spiritual truth on a daily basis. And my character has a bridge with ally spirits, and communes with ally spirits, and communes with the unseen realm, and has activated psychic energy, because much of the content I am using throughout each given day for Heather Feather focuses in that vein. A lot of what's on TV today is way too violent for Heather Feather, and I have a bajillion D tarot decks. Not a bajillion D, but I have a ton. I have at least 20 and probably, 40 or 50 Oracle decks. And so I often will take a stack of decks and put them next to me when I watch TV. And anything gets too violent or scary, I'm like, well, I'll just do tarot while this is happening. And so I continue to connect with my third eye and kind of float away from things that I don't want to see in the physical realm. So that becomes my character. If you want to be more organized, right? And if that's where you find your challenge, everybody has different gifts and different challenges, A lot of my gifts I'm really grateful for, and I do my best to share them and hand them to others if they ask or want them. I try not to give unsolicited advice. But in the same vein, I receive a lot of gifts where Heather needs development from others, becoming more extroverted, choosing to not be such an introvert. I easily fill my time when I'm alone. But so, I learned that from others. And I'm like, oh, it is really fun to be in this group where I really love talking to this two-legged, or, and so I've had other two-leggeds help me to remember I'm not an island. And so we can develop ourselves through other people's gifts, and we can share our gifts with the world. But those gifts that we need to develop, let's say you want to get organized. This is a gift that is well developed in me. I love to clean, I love to organize, I love to cook, I love to be in the kitchen with music. I like doing things like this. I don't know what to tell you. I've always loved the school supply aisle because it's so organized. I love tidiness, right? Something I'm quite adept with, but many that I've met, they struggle in that area, and I get it. So if that's a place where you are wanting to develop, can you watch, if you're going to put your attention on social media, if you're going to put your attention on the television, which is what I keep looking at in my house, can you watch things that really awaken you to organizational ideas, like tidying up with Marie Kondo? I really love Marie Kondo because she has a shamanic perspective that she holds about the consciousness of a building, and understanding to express gratitude to your building, and to, I speak to my home and I speak to my workplace, and I let it know this is a holy sacred temple, and medicine practices are done here, and this is a holy temple. And I let the atoms that comprise these spaces that Heather moves in know the holy light of divinity and love is moving around in this space. Therefore, this is a holy temple to hold these things. That whether that be me and my kitties or me and my coworkers, divinity's moving around in here. This is a holy temple. So what is it that you're wanting in your life that you'd like to have more of in your life? Is there anything that you're wanting more of in your life? Can you follow people on Instagram? I follow Gary Vee. He's a great inspirational speaker, just a really positive man about gratitude and positivity. I follow him on Instagram, right? Because I follow Jim Quick, Kwik, because he's also really brilliant. And, I expose myself to a lot of Joe Dispenza. So can you put your attention, can you follow things to where when it comes up in your feed, it's inspiring, it's motivating? I follow Daily Stoic. If you haven't studied Stoicism, there's great wisdom in Stoicism. And so the Daily Stoic, I find these Stoic truths come through my Instagram feed. So if I get on the Instagram, at least the content I'm receiving is adding to the quality of my character, which is one of the few things I believe you get to take beyond the grave. And so I'm asking you today, are there any things you would like to fold into your life that are content-based things that can develop your character? Maybe you want to go to more art galleries. Maybe you want to go to slam poetry. Maybe you want to start following a musician and learn how to play the guitar, or get on a YouTube channel that activates something that you're wanting to activate. We just had Mars, Mercury, and Uranus all come out of a retrograde in January, and come this spring, we're going to start to have more energy moving. So can we start to turn our attention in the direction that we want to move so that we hit the target we're aiming for? And then also, is there anything you're doing today, currently, that is content, whether that be food, whether that be social media, whether that be TV, that is not adding to your character, that which you seek? I'm always working to flush up more and more and more medicine on where my attention is. I watch a lot of comedy, a lot of comedy. And as somebody who's openly talked about having struggled with depression, I've had a long journey in wanting to understand this realm. Comedy really lights me up and it makes me laugh. And to me, at the gravesite, a successful life and a life worth living is one in which I've had a lot of joy. And I'm the steward of that. So can I be the steward and fold in more joy? I have 2 classes coming up in February. One class will be on the tarot. I've read the tarot for over 34 years, so 3 decades of experience, and I've created a comprehensive class to where not only will you be able to read the tarot, but you'll be able to reason with the tarot and know what the cards mean without looking at a book. So it's perfect for the novice or the adept. There's so much in this class for anybody at any level. And I also have a class called Be the Answer, which is some of the global shamanic studies that I've done, I'm wanting to hand to others. So it's an 8-week course doing a deep dive into some of the signs, symbols, and clues. Are you a shaman? Do you think you could be? So I'm looking for 5 people in each class. If 5 people sign up for the tarot class, or 5 people sign up for Be the Answer, or both, then both classes will launch, and I'd love to have you join us. You can go to rarebirdmedicine.com and click on the classes link, and it'll give you all the details there. Or you can text me at 512-620-0222. You can text Heather Feather, 512-620-0222. I'd love to have you join us. I'm Moon.